kind of like a why or why not type of question. So the first one I have for you is why or why not the Pistons making the playoffs this year?
Okay, so this is good because I was on Locked On Pistons like 2 weeks ago, and to be completely honest, I like that was an impromptu podcast. Like that was not something I had really like planned on doing in advance, and I was very rusty. And I watched it back. I couldn't watch it back fully, just because there were so many things I forgot to mention when talking about this exact scenario. For one of my issues with this offseason prior to recently was just the lack of direction with the team. Obviously, Duncan Robinson is a good signing. Karis LeVert on paper is a good signing. Uh, even Javante Green, good signing. But none of them really addressed the need that you had at the power forward position, which to me was the glaring issue with this team heading into the season. And honestly, like in the playoffs, it was exposed as well. I know there was no Isaiah Stewart, but you can't bank on 100% health at all times. Um, and with that, I also obviously know that the Malik Beasley thing was what it was. And from my understanding, he should be hopefully um figuring that stuff out soon. And I know that he wants to be back in Detroit. I'm sure Detroit would love to have him again. If they're able to get him, that greatly improves a direction, I think, for this team. Because right now it's a lot of wings and guards, and there's a bit of a lack of depth at the power forward position. Bobby Klitman could fill that 100%, but I don't know if they're willing to put him in such a big role just yet. And I don't know if I would want to throw Ron Holland at spot 4 minutes either, just because, coming into year two, I feel like you should be building off of what he did in year one, where he was
Mhm.
primarily a 2-3 and mostly just a three, because guarding power forwards isn't just like guarding wings. It's a lot of you're guarding Giannis for some
Yeah.
minutes. Like it's not what it is just like, oh, you're just catching up, and you're also playing someone your size. And Ron is tall, but he's not a big guy yet. So I'm curious about that. And we saw that what happened with Asar year one a little bit with kind of forcing him to be a power forward when he's really a small forward. So I have mixed opinions on you know what they did with the team this season. That being said, there's no reason to believe that the Pistons are missing the playoffs this upcoming season. When you look at the Eastern Conference, like to me, the teams, and I forgot to mention this, and someone just brutally called this out in the comments of Koo's podcast. Um, there's Orlando, right? There's Cleveland, there's Atlanta, and Atlanta is the biggest threat, I think, to where Detroit can actually improve on last season, because they're a team that actually gave the Pistons a pretty hard time when they were healthy last season. And I think they're a team that matches up against the Pistons to their favor rather than the Pistons, because they have size with Jalen Johnson and Kristaps Porzingis, Onyeka Okongwu. This is a kind of scary team. And I'm blanking on the name, but their draft pick, best defensive center in the draft, um, completely blanking on his name. But again, like the depth where the Pistons are weak is really glaring, and they're just kind of a complete team. So the biggest thing for Atlanta is staying healthy. And to me, they're the biggest threat to the Pistons, not only like making forward progress in the regular season, but also when it comes to playoff seeding. I think Atlanta right now is the biggest threat to Detroit. Orlando obviously should be better than they were last season. It was kind of an outlier season, you would think, but I wouldn't say like far and away I'm 100% convinced that they're going to be better than Detroit. The only team in the Eastern Conference right now that really I think is giving the Pistons a run for their money is going to be Atlanta. And that's kind of why I was hoping Detroit would match a little bit more of their offseason, because it was such an aggressive offseason on their end, while not really giving up much for assets. So I think the Pistons make the playoffs. I'm not 100% sure they're higher than a six seed as they were last season.
It's funny, a couple of weeks ago, Ku and I had this exact same conversation, and I was just like, well, maybe it's Atlanta, Detroit, 4 or 5 seed. They match up in the first round, right? Um, the thing with Atlanta, and this is actually kind of ironic, is like they're the king of signing guys that their teams can't afford to pay them anymore. Like they do it all the damn time. Like, it's honestly kind of ironic, but I think their offseason, like getting Luke Kennard on a really cheap deal, more shooting. Jalen Johnson, who, if he stays healthy, he's a really, really good player. We all know who Trae Young is. I think getting Kristaps Porzingis was a really good move by them. With Detroit, it's just like the run that they had, it was Cade Cunningham in the vets. It was Malik Beasley stepping up when Jaden Ivey was out. It was Dennis Schroeder coming in after the trading deadline. It was Tim Hardaway Jr. from time to time just being on an absolute heater. We'll talk a little bit about Karis LeVert in a little bit, but I think they will be a playoff team. If I had to just make a wager, I'd say like anywhere between 4 and 6 seed. Like I think that's kind of where they're at. I'm with you. I thought with the injuries to Jason Tatum this year, Tyrese Halliburton, the Bucks and their crazy ass off season, which I don't even want to process how Miles Turner is a Milwaukee Buck. And the Pacers like, yeah, Jay Huff, let's do it. But I don't know. I think it's going to be a very intriguing Eastern Conference with Cleveland, New York, Orlando. I think Cleveland has a good shot to actually not be a top 4 seed with all the injuries that they do have the first couple of weeks of the season, though. So there could be a team that kind of, maybe they get a couple of games on Cleveland, or maybe Cleveland's, lower than maybe a 3rd seed because of the injuries to Darius Garland, the injuries to Max Strus. So it'll be interesting to see, man. But I can't wait for the season. It's so close.
Yeah, 31 days. By the time most people watching this, probably like 30.
Yeah, Darko Milicic days.
Javante Green days.